I guess it's time for another update video. Well, as you can tell, I got the rigging, all the rigging done in the plane. I got tired of waiting, and I just mounted the main wing to this thing. Mainly because I had it back, because I had the plane backed up to my door right here. So if I accidentally hit it, and I had the way I had it before, I could risk actually dislodging one of the spars and actually doing some massive damage on the main wings, and I'll totally rebuild this thing again. And I really don't want to spend 8 hours or so trying to rebuild the stinking wing for this thing. For rigging, I'm just using regular old kite string. My friend next door had to spool that stuff, so I just borrowed it and I just did all this rigging. It took me, I'm going to say, about 3 hours, 4 hours to do all this rigging. And that's quite a long time to do some rigging for a freaking biplane. What I did is I printed out a 3D plant, one of the little swappables from flight test, and they had the servo, and it had a hole for the servo. So what I did is I cut out the size, I used that, and I cut out where the servos are going to be going. And what I did is I have it to where this should be the right size for the 9-gram turnkey servos, or whatever 9-gram servos I'm going to be getting. I may end up making this hole bigger, I'm not sure. And I do have a little hole placed right in there, as you can tell. That's where I'm going to be fishing old wires through, so I can pull the servo wire out. I'm going to use some servo extenders too. Now the way I did this is that hopefully when I'm mounting the servos, let me figure out where that servo hole is. The servo is going to go through the thickest part of the wing, which is where the airfoil is. It's hopefully going to poke right through and go all the way up, so it doesn't so I have enough room. It should, in theory. If it doesn't, that's fine with me. I'll just hot glue it where it is, and then I'll just mount it up everything, center this plane out, and then be happy. I did add the last bit of turtle ducts to this thing, so I can add the wiring. So I can do the spars right here, or the rigging, or whatever it's called, which is gonna work perfectly. I'm just gonna cover this all up with tape when I get the elevator servo mount. Whenever I get the elevator servo mounted, I'll just mount it here. I might end up mounting it on the outside. I don't know. But when I do, I'm going to mount it, and then I'm going to cover all this up. The reason why I'm not going to cover it up now is because I might mount the servo inside, or I might mount the servo outside. I don't know yet. I guess I can also say I did make a little request on Division Arts for an ESCA drawing. What I'm probably going to ask for the person to do is that originally I was thinking I was going to have a Sami pilot this thing, and after seeing today's episode of Legend of Korra, ESCA is a little peed off, and long story short, Bolin needs a hide. Bolin needs to find a place and hide for about 10 years. So I'm gonna ask the person to make me a drawing of Eska piloting an airplane, but without her actually in the plane. That way, so when I get this whole plane figured out and mount the power pod in here and everything, I can mount Eska in the cockpit here, flying it. And I may also ask a person to do a drawing of Korra and Mako, or how you pronounce his name, holding onto these little spars too, just for added effect. Oh yeah. before I end this video, I am going to say it might unfortunately be a while before I do an update on this plane, or well, really any updates on any of my projects. I do have a few dubstep songs I did record, and I am planning to upload them later. What's going on is the AC, the fan for my house's AC unit died, and it costs like $280 or something like that to replace it. So it unfortunately put a big stop on this build. I may be able to. I am hoping I can get this thing done within a few more weeks. If not, it may be some time, unfortunately. So let's just hope I can get this thing done soon, because I want to have this thing done before Thanksgiving. I definitely want to have this thing done before Halloween. That way, so I can fly this thing around on Halloween night. I'm most likely going to mount some LEDs in this thing and turn this thing into a night flyer. But we will see.